when you explain to these athletes, and then when I found later in practice, when I explained to my general population, it was educating them on what was going on. And when you do that, and that makes sense to what they're experiencing, the marketing, the sales, it wasn't necessary.
Hey, Smart Chiropractors. Welcome to the Smart Chiropractor Show and our featured guest segment. My name is Dr. Jeff Langmaid, here with my co-host, Dr. Jason Deitch. Today, we have an opportunity to sit down with somebody, if you know him, it is due to deep clinical expertise, Dr. Michael Rintala. Michael, thank you for taking some time and chatting with us today.
Thank you for having me. Looking forward to it.
It is our pleasure. I'd love to trace things back as people are familiar with you as an educator in this space, deep work within what I'll call sports chiropractic, as well as DNS. Where did the fire for going so deep into clinical practice start for you?
It probably started with my own experience with sports injury. In college, I played tennis. Played competitive tennis as a junior as well. And there's a number of injuries that would sideline me. And then the big one that kind of really pushed me in the direction and the way that I practice now was I developed a spondylolisthesis, L4, L5. And this was in college. This was like, I don't know, I forget how old I was in college, but, probably like early 20s or maybe a little younger. But, here I am, basically incapacitated. Took them a while to figure out what was going on. I went through, PT. I didn't even know about chiropractic at that time. Went through PT, went through ortho, wasn't getting anywhere. And then, I discovered this thing called chiropractic. Never even thought about it. Went to the chiropractor. The chiropractor I went to, he combined rehabilitation with manipulation. And it wasn't the end all be all, but it moved me in that direction that I wanted to be going. And at that point, I was already looking at PT or athletic training. And then having that experience with that chiropractor way back in college was the thing that sparked my interest. And, I made improvements, but my main goal of going to chiropractic was really getting to the bottom of one, addressing my own pain. And then two, figuring out how it happened and making sure it wouldn't happen again. So my own experience with sport injury, and with chiropractic, integrating both chiropractic and rehabilitation, which is kind of the way I practice now, that set me in that direction. And then, during chiropractic school, was introduced to the Prague School of Rehabilitation, which we can talk more about there. But that when I got introduced to Prague School of Rehabilitation, that's the thing that made the most sense to me, and I saw the potential of integration with my chiropractic training as a way to, one, address my own issues, but two, help the people that I wanted to work with, which is active population. Definitely had a passion for sports and working with athletics.
Hey, Doc, do you have an email list of 300, 500 or more? If so, please connect with our team at thesmartchiropractor.com. With Patient Pilot, we can activate that email list and start generating reactivations into your practice each and every week. To schedule a demo and learn more, head over to thesmartchiropractor.com. Again, that is thesmartchiropractor.com. But right now, we'll head back over into this awesome interview on Interviews by the Smart Chiropractor.
Right on, Michael. I've been reviewing your website over at rintalachiro.com for those that want to go check it out. And a couple of things I just want to, ask you about is you've got a lot of photos of you teaching people about motion and movement. And then you have a whole program there really about teaching chiropractors basically how to learn what you've learned over the years. I take that as you find teaching to be extremely valuable. With that said, I guess my question is, one of our premises is in our book, The Payday Practice, is the mantra teach and invite consistently, like that the focus isn't to sell your services, it's to actually teach people about themselves, their bodies, how it works, because then they're going to want your services and your knowledge and your expertise. So my questions are, how important, for those listening who tend to be trying to market their practice to get new patients, which is a different philosophy than what I'm seeing you do. Can you speak to, the value you put on teaching? How are you teaching consumers that really gives them the desire to want to be your patient, not because you're the cheapest option or a good deal,
Right.
but because they learn from you and you clearly know what you're talking about?
Yeah. So early on, and this goes back to some of the mentors that I had. There's a Dr. Tim Brown in Southern California. He was a mentor of mine during chiropractic school. I had opportunities to go out and assist him on the Pro Beach Volleyball Tour, the professional surfing tour. And I saw his passion. I saw his passion for achieving a certain depth of knowledge, and not just knowledge in chiropractic, but when we would go out and assist him as students, there was a small group of us at these sporting events. You would have chiropractor, PT, massage therapist, ortho, and everybody, it would be like this huge, everybody working together, everybody sharing knowledge. And great experience, great learning experience. But what I also saw was when you explain to these athletes, and then when I found later in practice, when I explained to my general population kind of exactly what's going on, and giving them a deep understanding of what is causing their pain and how they can get out of their pain. And, not bullshitting, giving them the, what is happening, going over the anatomy and everything else, that it wasn't it was educating them on what was going on. And when you do that, and that makes sense to what they're experiencing, the marketing, the sales, it wasn't necessary. And so, I had that experience working with these athletes during chiropractic school. When I got out, I applied that same strategy of educating, and then, with that education, applying the tools that I had with my hands, with the rehabilitation aspect of things that I was doing, and the soft tissue aspect of things that I was doing, which is a big component. And one of the things I recommend for, anybody, I always, students, I'll say, have good manual skills, adjusting skills, have a good soft tissue skill, whatever that may be, and address the central nervous system. So that was the approach that helped me personally. That's the approach that I saw helping these athletes who are, need a high level of not only performance, but injury prevention. And it's what I see helps my patients achieve the goals that they want to achieve.
That makes a lot of sense and very, very well said. I know there are a lot of our listeners and watchers, young docs and experienced docs, that are interested in sports chiropractic. You've been doing it at a very, very high level. Something that's always interests me in sports chiropractic is that bridge between pain and performance. And that quite often we find that high level athletes come in to a chiropractor to maintain a high level of performance. How have you seen that evolve in terms of being able to expand just from pain into performance? And how do you apply that daily in your practice?
Initially, usually someone will come to me because they're in pain and they want to get out of pain. You have to have tools to address that. So I'll address that with, various tools, manual, again, soft tissue, modalities, whatever it takes, and then giving them, again, the understanding of why it happened, what we're doing to address it. But then the big one is explaining, after explaining why it happened, it's important to explain how to not let it happen again. And if you explain that and you get them out of pain, and then you take them through the steps necessary to keep them out of pain, they again, they understand it. It's not a sales thing. It's explaining the clinical aspect of it, the deep understanding of it, which you can do with the lay person. It's maybe you don't use all the technical terms, but you explain what's happening. Once they have that understanding, once they experience the results, it's not, they'll come back. They want to, once they're out of pain, once they see how to stay out of pain, and then especially with an active population, once they see the potential for enhanced performance, or not just enhanced performance, but creating durability and longevity with their movement, then it kind of sells itself. You explain it, you provide the relief, you show the path to keep them doing what they want to do, and they're coming back for multiple reasons.
Looking at what you're doing online, you're using social media quite a bit. Can you share with others, how do you think about using it? I see on Instagram and on Facebook. How do you think about using it? And for those wondering, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? Am I going to get something out of, my investment in doing it? What would you say to them about what I'm assuming to be the fact that you've just got a consistent demand for your service because you are really sharing the value of what you do through all these different, ways, one-on-one, through social? What do you say to other chiropractors who probably should be doing that too, but just don't know how to think about it and aren't really sure, is it really worth it or not? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So my approach with social media was, and I was reluctant to get onto it initially, but then once I started teaching or educating and doing the courses, one, I saw it as a great tool to connect with people and let them know about the coursework and, specifically the dynamic neuromuscular stabilization. But my approach was to, again, try to educate. So a lot of what I put up is, examples of myself or my wife doing specific active exercises, or with the education aspect of things, the Prague School therapists come over and I co-teach with them. So highlighting them going through movements, giving short explanations. So really trying to give a glimpse or an understanding of that approach of the concepts and principles of dynamic neuromuscular stabilization. And, there is with social media, you have to create the posts and put some time into doing that. But the more you do it, the easier it gets, the quicker you can get it done. I definitely, I do need to put more time into it. I mean, you can do all sorts of crazy stuff now. I tend to try to keep it simple, mostly because I don't know how to do all that crazy stuff. But keep it simple. I keep it simple. I try to get across those concepts and principles. And then with that, usually I'm offering something, a glimpse at the exercise, an explanation of the exercise. And then I list upcoming coursework. And with that, one, it's like an education thing, it's a promotion. And then, for the specific coursework, but then people see me, they can hear me talking or whatever I, do in the post, and they'll seek me out that way, seeing that I have an understanding. And with that, it can be for chiropractors, PTs, trainers, whoever, who want knowledge about that coursework. But then also patients will contact me. They'll see what I'm doing. It'll intuitively make sense to them. Like, oh, I think this is something I need. And they'll, contact me through the social media and eventually end up in the office here.
So worth your while.
Yeah, definitely. I was reluctant again initially, but once I started doing it, I saw the response, and it's definitely worthwhile.
It's a great example of teach and invite consistently, getting out there, bridging the gap of knowledge based upon education, and then highlighting an offer for those that want to take you up on it. Great job. You mentioned durability and longevity. I have a clinical question for you here. How do you see the DNS work that you do fitting into those buckets of durability and longevity throughout somebody's lifetime?
So with dynamic neuromuscular stabilization, you're assessing and treating and showing ways to enhance the efficiency of your integrated stabilizing system and the integrated stabilizing system of the spine. So, you can utilize mobilization, diversified or whatever technique you're going to use as far as adjustments or manipulation. So you want to address joint function. You want to address soft tissue function. But then the dynamic neuromuscular stabilization is addressing the central nervous system. And when you're addressing the central nervous system with dynamic neuromuscular stabilization, you're creating synergy, coordination, and timing of the agonist-antagonist musculature throughout the kinetic chain, so throughout the movement chain. So the manual methods will address the dysfunction with the structural stuff, soft tissue and joint. But then again, the third, I think the biggest one, probably the most important one, is that central nervous system. So if we can then facilitate that, now you've enhanced movement efficiency. You've enhanced the transfer of force and load throughout the joints, throughout the kinematic chain. And when you do that, pain decreases, and you avoid, re-injury, and you can do the things that you want to do. So it's really about, again, you can educate them, and once you take them through that, you start facilitating that integrated stabilizing system. It enhances the recovery aspect of things and decreases pain with acute injury. But then you have the prevention side of it. And usually visit-wise, there's some soft tissue work, there's some mobilizing work, and then we're integrating the dynamic neuromuscular stabilization. And more, as people learn about what I'm doing and the concepts and principles of dynamic neuromuscular stabilization, people are coming to me not in pain, but for enhancing performance or creating that durability and longevity aspect of movement quality. So, and that's, again, that's with the education. I don't really, I don't advertise. I don't market. I do the social media. I put the information out there, and people are seeing it and seeking it out.
Hey, it's Dr. Jason. I just want to take a brief moment and invite you to schedule a demo with our team to learn more about our Patient Pilot automated email campaigns. They are the smartest way to reactivate the people you've seen over the years in the past. Check it out, schedule a demo. We look forward to helping you help more people and piloting your patients back into your practice. Now back to our show. To that point, for those listeners that want to seek you out, where can they find you, and what should they, where should they go to connect more with you?
Probably the best place is the website, the rintalachiro.com. There's another website that I have, rintalamovementdesign.com, and that's where there's a lot of online opportunities on that one. Also, my wife Maggie Rintala is featured. She's a trainer. She specializes in the dynamic neuromuscular stabilization, which it's nice to have somebody on the same page with the same knowledge base, and that's one of the reasons too, as far as the education side of things. So probably those two would be the best way to reach out.
That sounds great. We will be sure to drop those links below. I want to give a special shout out to Tim Brown. I wish I had a little air horn right here. Great chiro, the man that never ages as far as I'm concerned. But
yeah,
Michael, we really appreciate you coming on. Docs listening and watching, we're going to drop those links down below. So if you would like to up your clinical skills, learn more about dynamic neuromuscular stabilization, and or connect with Dr. Rintala, we'll drop those links down below. Michael, thanks for taking some time and chatting with us today.
Great. Thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you so much for watching this video on The Smart Chiropractor. To not miss a single thing that's clinically oriented, marketing oriented, or more, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel today.